I had a purpose before everybody had an opinion.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
You want Philly?
Chase Utley, you are the man.
You come out backyard and you try to start something, you always get your butt kicked.
The prayers have been answered.
How about those Eagles, baby?
And Rio Muto can run for days.
Can you feel what's about to happen on this field, man?
A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history.
Alright, welcome back to another episode of Philly Talk. Now, you obviously see the thumbnail, so you know the main thing we're going to talk about. But the draft is coming up for the NFL soon, I believe, and obviously free agency will follow as well. We're still in the midst of spring training with the Phillies, and the season will hopefully be starting in a couple of weeks, But just quick little Philly Talk episode with a couple little updates because of some big news that has dropped for both teams, really. So let me paint the scene for you, because we obviously got to talk about two things, really. Yesterday morning, wake up, and the first notification I see is that the Phillies extended Zack Wheeler 3-year, $126 million, I believe is the deal. Now, it is a pretty crazy extension. That's about what, like they said it was like 40 something million per year, I believe, at this point. Pretty crazy, but at the same time, does anyone else deserve it more than Zack Wheeler? Now, the one thing I'll say is it was funny when the Nola signing happened and they talked to Wheeler about it. He had said something similar where he was like, he would be willing to take a similar deal, but props to him and his agent for getting him the most money. Because again, does anybody really deserve it more than Zack Wheeler? I mean, since joining the Phillies, just look at this guy and what he's done for us. The 2020 season was obviously shortened, but he had a 2.92 ERA in that season. 2021, the year where many of us Philly fans will argue that he got robbed for the Cy Young when he finished second. I believe, was it Corbin Burns that won that year? I believe it was Corbin Burns. Let me just double check. Yeah, it was Corbin Burns when he was on the Brewers. So a lot of people will argue that he was robbed. Now, Corbin Burns obviously had a good case for himself. He led the league, 2.43 ERA. But when you look at everything else, that's when everyone starts to go, maybe he was a bit robbed. Because, he had the lower ERA than Wheeler. He had the 170 ERA plus. He had a 0.94 whip. This is all great stuff. He had 234 strikeouts. Only allowed 7 home runs this season. But then you start to see the big differences, and that is Wheeler faced almost 200 more batters than him that season. Wheeler faced 849 batters. He had basically a one flat whip, a 150 ERA plus. What was his ERA that season? 2.78. He was 14-10, while Burns was 11-5. But again, wins aren't really a pitching stat necessarily. But then you look at some of the things that kind of separated them. Burns played 28 games, started 28 games and played in them. Wheeler played 32. He had 3 complete games, 2 of them being shutouts. Burns pitched 167 innings. Zack Wheeler pitched 213.1 innings and struck out 247 batters. So there's a case there to say that, Wheeler got robbed a bit, but that's up to everyone else to have their case. But still, an amazing season for him then. 2021, oh wait, no, sorry, we were just talking about 2021. 2022, 2.82 ERA, and he played less games, obviously, after such a huge season that he had the previous year with all that, but still put up great numbers. Let up less home runs this year, obviously, struck out less people and faced less people because he played in less games, but still did really well. And then this past season, his ERA did jump up a bit, 3.61, but he had 192 innings that he pitched, 212 strikeouts, did some really great stuff again, and Other than, of course, the 2020 season, he's had a whip of just about 1 for us each season. He's done really well. Also to mention, in that 2021 season, I believe he had like a 7.5 WAR. So he has just been phenomenal for us. So it's great to see that we got him, signed to an extension. Don't have to worry about having him hit the open market and other teams contest us. We now have our 2 aces locked down in Wheeler and Nola. I will say it's going to be interesting what happens on opening day, because Nola so far has the most, or not the most, but like he's on a consecutive run of opening day starts. So it is a question of what they're going to, what they're going to do there. Are they going to let Nola continuing that streak, or are they going to give Wheeler a shot? Who knows? But then also got to mention as well, postseason, Wheeler has been phenomenal. Now, other than, in the World Series against Houston, that, really all our pitchers kind of struggled in. Other than that, he's done really, really well for us in so many of the different series. That first game against the Cardinals, didn't let up any runs, only let up 2 hits and a walk, struck out 4 guys in 6.1 innings. Against the Padres was even better, 13 innings pitched, only let up 2 earned runs, struck out 16 guys, had an ERA of 1.38. Against Miami, he had an ERA of 1.35, struck out 8. This past series against Atlanta, he had 10 strikeouts, had an ERA of 2.84. And then again against Arizona, one of really the only guys who was really doing much that series, as I talked about when we did the post series reaction and all that. One of the only guys who was really trying, if you want to say, only let up 3 earned runs in 14.2 innings pitched, 17 strikeouts, had a 1.84 ERA, was phenomenal. Just comes down to the rest of the guys, as we talked about back then. His only real outlier, like I said, is the Houston series, and really that first Atlanta series back in 2022, because he had a pretty high ERA, didn't do so well in the one game that they started. And you could say the same thing for this past Atlanta series, but at the same time, you couldn't really put on him. Like, he still had a 2.84 ERA, only allowed 2 earned runs in those 6.1 innings that he pitched. And as we saw, the only reason they lost that game was because of the bats going cold at the wrong time. But still has done phenomenal with us. So happy to see him extended. And like I said, it locks down our 2 aces. Just gives you a bit of reassurance, can be calm that these guys are gonna likely finish their careers as Phillies, and hopefully knock on wood, hopefully no injuries happen with either Nola or Wheeler. Just want to see them completely healthy, and they're gonna lead the charge as our 1-2 punch of aces. And we're still approaching the season, and you're wondering, are they gonna get a third guy? Because like my dad and I, we're talking to one another. We like Ranger. Obviously, everyone in Philly loves Ranger, but still a thing of, can he be healthy throughout the season? And also at times it's like, how my dad puts it, you never really know what Ranger you're gonna get at times. Come the postseason, what Ranger you're gonna get, and that's why we really love him, because come postseason time, that guy locks in more than anyone else. But you look at the rest of the time, and it's like, you just wonder about the availability. Like this season, he only played 22 games, had only 125 innings pitched, and had a 4.18 ERA this season. It's like not really exactly what you want to see from, Ranger, but again, here's to hoping that he has a better, healthier season this year. But yeah, so you look and you're just like, well, what could they do? And like I said in that video of Oscar, I just don't think they're in on either Snell or Montgomery, because of the fact that like not only the money they want, but like sometimes the years that they want is what we've heard the rumors of. And it's like, I feel like they would have made a move by now, but I think they're kind of set in their ways, and you might see something more towards that trade deadline where they maybe trade for some relievers and put their faith in the rotation that they have, or trade for a third guy. Sorry. And yeah, I don't know. That's the way I look at it. Excited to see what happens with the future of this Phillies team, and just waiting on the season to come back, man. I'm excited for baseball to start. But moving forward, like I said, we see the thumbnail. We know what this video is about. After seeing the news that Zack Wheeler was extended, I go on Instagram, and the first thing I see is people posting about Jason Kelce saying that he's going to have a press conference later today, and I'm like, oh goodness, what? That, like, you don't hold a press conference to just announce that you're coming back, you know. Like, I was preparing for the worst already, and then later on, that's when we finally got the news. Jason Kelce officially announces that he is retiring from football. Easily the best center that the Eagles have ever had. One of the best centers that the game has ever seen. You can call it bias, but if that man's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I know it's really tough for a lot of linemen to get in. You know, it took so many guys a long time to get in. But if that guy is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know who is at this point, you know. Absolutely phenomenal. The definition of consistent. The guy retires on an all-pro season, basically. Just a phenomenal guy. A phenomenal guy on and off the field, you know, has done so much work with the city of Philadelphia, and you just are so grateful to have watched the career of this guy, especially from a guy who, you know, only really in the later half of his career started getting the credit that he deserved, because again, many linemen don't get that sort of credit, you know. Many linemen don't get people really talking about them, you know. So it was just so great to see, like, in this later half, that people started realizing just his consistency and his dominance, and just how much he meant to this team, you know, how much he played a pivotal role in, you know, the Eagles this past decade. You know, he was super important to that Super Bowl run. You know, he was super important to all the successful seasons that we had. And like I said, this guy has just been amazing year in and year out. Like I said, he's going out on an all-pro season. You know, it wasn't a case of retiring because he no longer has the ability to play. It's just coming down to his own decision, you know, and you couldn't ask for a better player. Like I said, just phenomenal stuff. Just completely at a loss for words, man, because he's just one of the greatest guys, man. You're just so happy for him, you know, and you're just happy that he's going out on his own terms. You wish he could have gone out on better terms team-wise, you know. Just a disappointing season to go out on. Disappointing last game at the Link to go out on. But at the same time, you're just happy for the guy, man. You're happy for him to go home to his family and enjoy his time with his family. To go home and, you know, continue podcasting with his brother and doing the things he loves. And, you know, he's never gonna stop being active in this city. You know, he's gonna always be there, and you're just happy to have been able to watch it all, you know. If you haven't already, go watch the video that the Eagles put together for him. Super emotional video. Just amazing, man. It's just crazy that, you know, a center gets this much love, a lineman gets this much love from, you know, a city. But then again, it just shows, again, how much of a big, important role that he played in this team for this city, you know. And he obviously loves this city as well. Just go look at his press conference and the things he said. So many people are saying, show that to any athlete who gets drafted or wants to play for Philly. You know, this is like the gold standard in a sense of the mindset you need to have when you're coming to play for Philly, this and that, you know. So it's tough, man, to see him retire. Like, watching that video, you know, got me, you know, close to tears, and it just had me thinking about Reese Hoskins video that the Phillies had to put out, since they mutually agreed to part ways. And man, it just makes you emotional to see a guy who's been here for his whole career, who you saw grow and develop from the start of his career till now. Just so great, man. So great. I mean, like I said, the definition of consistent was rarely injured a lot of times, and you look from 2015 till now, just never missed a game. Started all 16 games from 2015 to 2019, and then, till 2020, and then from then on started all 17 games from 2021 till now. Was just absolutely amazing. 3 straight All-Pros. He missed one in 2020, but before that was on 3 straight All-Pros again. And there's just not enough to say, about this guy and how great he was. And you're glad that the Eagles invested a draft pick in Cam Jurgens, obviously, who, Kelce gave his sort of approval of, that this is the guy he wanted to, take in and mentor. So look for him to obviously have very big shoes to fill in. I don't think anybody's really expecting him to be the next Jason Kelce, but he has to fill in that spot now at center, and it's just gonna be tough going forward, man. You're gonna see some obvious sort of differences and changes now with this team, run wise, pass wise. It's gonna be, you would think it wouldn't matter so much, but you're gonna be able to see how much a center is truly going to affect the team, because that's how much Jason Kelce was important to the success of this team. Whether it was the run game or the pass game, he was phenomenal, and just seriously going to miss this guy, man. Just seriously going to miss him. But again, just happy that he gets to retire on his own terms. But that'll do it for this episode of Philly Talk. Thank you all for joining for just this little short one, discussing the Zack Wheeler extension and giving props to Jason Kelce, man. Just phenomenal. Like I said, 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, 1-time Super Bowl champ, has one of the greatest Super Bowl parade speeches of all time. No one has really embodied Philly more than a guy like Jason Kelce. He's on that elite list of just athletes that are absolutely beloved by Philadelphia, and like they say with many of them, this guy shouldn't have to pay for a meal or a drink anywhere in the city of Philadelphia from here on out, Just absolutely amazing guy, like I said, on and off the field. Truly a guy that, you just want to be sorry, I'm just struggling to find the words, man. Just truly an exemplary type of guy, just someone for many to look towards as a positive sort of role model. But yeah, man, just obviously super sad to see him go, but super happy that, he's leaving, hopefully, with a better mindset, hopefully you just hope the best post-career, because a lot of these guys, once they stop playing the game of football, that's when they really start feeling the impact of all the years that they played. So just hoping for the best help for him, and just happy that he gets to go home, spend time with his family, spend time with his brother doing the podcast, and just doing what he loves. Thank you, Jason Kelce, for an amazing Eagles career. Thank you all for joining for this episode, and look forward to the next one, which will probably be when the draft and the free agent signings happen, and then obviously when opening day comes. And maybe I might do an opening day video, like beforehand, some expectations. But then again, I kind of did that with the video of Oscar. If you haven't checked it out, go look there. But yeah, thank you, Jason Kelce, for an amazing, awesome career.